Yo! Who's alive? What's up, guys? Give me a minute. How's everybody? I'm testing something. What the heck? I'm trying to get rid of all this. Dog! What the heck? The chat's backwards. What's up, mother of truckers? Phone number's on the screen. How's everybody? Anybody alive out there? Yeah. Earth 2. Earth to society. Is anybody live out there? Earth to society. I am Earth. I'm calling out to y'all. Earth to society here. What's happening, Richard? I'm just chilling. I made a second channel so I can just chill, bro. Because only way to win this vertical war is to have fun while fighting it. Right? I feel like I got the energy. I'm here. I'm good at communicating. Let's just hang out. Fuck, I don't know. I was writing a bunch of stuff. Well, more like theory crafting. What's up with you, Richard? Let's talk whatever. Let's talk AI, let's talk anime, let's talk stories, let's talk video games, let's talk anything, honestly. Just, I chose this publication, not my main publication, so maybe we can divert a little bit from the extremely heavy topics, but we can still go there. I just think we want to attract more people, right? So I'm somebody with lots of tastes myself. I don't always want to read academic, full, in-depth articles about structural analysis all the time. Sometimes I want a good story or a little humor, right? And I think there's opportunities for allegories, and you see it today with social justice movements, and you could argue it's a little bit overdone, but there's still an example of how you can use media and other forms of entertainment to still forward an agenda. And I don't mean that to be nefarious at all. In fact, I'm really proud about my honest bias, my agenda for being pro-working class people. The gay hand who just became a flying pig? What the hell? If I YouTube that, will it pop up right away? I'll look. Yeah, I googled gay ham became a talking pig. Oh wait, why did I say talking? Flying pig. The first thing that came up was a chimpanzee named Ham. Ham the Astro Chimp. Yeah, so I made a comment. You know, I'm just gonna put it on the screen. There you go. Want to talk about a puppet? Oh, that's what everybody else is doing, right? Literally, my entire feed is just filled with it. Dude, I'm telling you right, I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump, right? But I also don't think I'm as big a hater as a lot of people, and I think it's very obvious when I look at social feeds, because like the way people are talking about just Lindsey Graham, like obviously he's not a good advocate for the things we want, but just like, let me just say, Donald Trump has changed politics. He's changed you I can tell that you aren't a fan of Republicans. He's changed the way that you react. He's made it so it feels more acceptable for you to make fun of somebody after dying, because he does it all the time. I fucking refuse to play these games, man. The world is changing so fast right now. People aren't even realizing dude, it's so much easier for us to make threatening talking posts, like talking points, and to talk about people dying in such light lately. It's kind of nuts. This is not normal. This is why I made my fucking Substack, is because I do think Trump caused a lot of this, but just thinking that Trump is the problem himself, I think of him as a symptom, bro. People like him, and we can say people are wrong for liking him all we want. It's not gonna change anything, because I don't think everybody's stupid, personally. Obviously, misinformation has a lot to do with it, but yeah, I think it has more to do with emotional reactions. People are just too busy because of the economy. They have to stay busy, right? They can't pay attention to things, and the dopamine, like algorithms, feed. Propaganda on both sides, man. Because I think Donald Trump eroded norms, but that's what a lot of people wanted. I don't think they necessarily wanted what he's doing. Some people do. But the whole point was that they wanted to prove that it could be done. And the Democrats, especially the corporate ones, they don't promise a lot different. They just promise what I would call a managed decline, which I would prefer over what Trump's doing. But to me, it's a lot more gray. It's like black versus dark gray. Progressive candidates seem cool too, but it's just like they're trying to do something impossible, which I want to support, because that's the whole point of constructing a miracle. But oh yeah, I don't give any respect. There's a difference, I think. You're right. I don't want to judge people for acting the way they do, because personally, I might still act that way if somebody did a very personal attack towards me. And there are things that he's done that might feel that way towards you. So I understand that. I don't want to. But at the same time, I just think how normal it is that we talk about it is a concern. Yes, no respect is given necessarily at all. It's more about letting myself go that far, right? I don't want to let myself go that far. But I could understand why someone might allow themselves to if they feel personally attacked by it. But that's part of the trap, I think, is we put ourselves in categories. Is Mitch McConnell, right? He's probably dead, right? I don't know why they're acting all weird about it. Because he's probably on life support, is what it probably is. And they usually give it a few days or a week to see if there's any chance. But yeah, it's been a long time for Mitch McConnell. It's concerning. I think it seems to be the case. When they first started talking about it, there was the 50-50, but it's been already a week, right? Since they first started really talking about it. And I'm not a doctor, but I think when if somebody's not able to make statements for that long, they should have an acceptable reason for it by now, a spokesperson. And if they don't, it's probably, yeah. I'd assume he's on life support, which is why they feel like they can get away with not telling the whole truth, but yeah. Well, aren't you, I'm not a private trader myself, but you can give people access to your stock account, right? Some people hire people to do that, so he could just have people doing that daily, even if he's not. That's what I mean, like if he's on life support, right? I'm not a legal expert. That sounds complicated. I don't know, but I do know that you're allowed to give other people access to your stock trading account. That's people's entire jobs, to manage stock portfolios, right? Yeah, I really don't understand it. I think it has more to do with you could say peacocking, right? They're trying to just still look strong as the majority, like don't worry about it, when really there's a bigger threat. They're just peacocking even though they got nothing behind it. They don't want to look like they're facing a loss of majority in the future. Exactly, it complicates things. Yeah, they're peacocking. They don't want their base to get worried. They like it when their base is belligerent. They like it when their base thinks they got it. Because I would argue, yeah, it's definitely not the rule for both sides, because I'm bad at make generalizations. But like the extremely committed MAGA and the extremely committed progressives are very similar in how they're stubborn, right? If you can get them belligerent about a passionate topic, they stop really thinking about nuance and compromise. Definitely not the rule for both sides. There's definitely reasonable people on both sides, but I think the Republicans have a better sense of media value within their statements and how they present themselves. Unfortunately. Which bill? The SAVE Act? Which bill? I've been losing track. Not that I haven't been keeping up, it's just I've been mixing the timeline up in my head. Like, what's the bill that's next? I can't remember what's passed and what's not. Yeah, so most people recognize the SAVE Act, I think, for what it is, which is why there are some Republicans. I might have to look into it more. I might be wrong here, but there probably are a few Republicans who vote against it, right? Which is why this is already concerning. Because it's not something that people will get real angry about if they vote it down. It might be the opposite. Like, if they voted in, people might get real angry, and the Republicans recognize that, the ones that are more centric. Because all the SAVE Act really seems to be is an extra bureaucratic gateway for people who don't have the time to process the extra gate, and they won't be able to vote. So it really targets impoverished areas, people. And it's basically a way to control the vote. I understand that. And I think most Americans understand that. So I think that this act is never going to pass. But they're trying really, really hard to rile up their base. To make it seem more important than it is. So Americans weren't very concerned about election integrity until Donald Trump started seeding doubt about election integrity. I'm not going to get into the argument about whether our elections are secure or not. I will say, in my opinion, I think they are. You might call me naive, but I'm definitely not going to argue that. My point, though, is that this is an opportunity for them to kind of get the base angry who already think voting integrity is under attack. Right? They think they need that extra layer of security. It's just like brainwashing. Because he knows the most impoverished people aren't going to vote for him. The people who are going to have the most trouble going through the bureaucratic steps of signing up for this new piece of identification. It's going to cost money. They're going to have to plan ahead. They're going to have to go. Who knows what else is going on in their life? Who knows if they even recognize they're going to need it, right? Yeah, it just makes it a lot harder for people to vote. Real Americans. It makes it harder for real Americans to vote. It does. Which is a problem, if you ask me. I think most people think that's a problem, but they have created this idea that it's more of a problem that people who aren't citizens are voting. Which, there's literally no institutional data that proves that. There's no judges that prove that. This isn't even a controversial thing to me. It's pretty amazing that they've gotten a lot of support behind it. Because there are some controversial things that he can pick at here and there. But this is not one, if you ask me. The integrity of voting is a crazy conspiracy theory. Unless all the judges are in on it, even the Republican ones. It's like... It's a good question. I think a big problem is, that I've noticed, is the people who advocate for progressive politicians. They like to attack Trump, and they like to attack Trump haters. I don't see any strategic value in that. I don't think Trump's gonna try to run again. I think that's a big distraction for taking control of the campaign narrative right now. We're still going to be focusing on attacking Trump when they're preparing on putting up a new candidate. And a lot of our attacks on Trump, they'll be able to say, but I won't be like that. But I won't be like that. Or they'll lean into it when they know it's popular. The point is, he'll be able to separate himself. Right? So... And the reason why I bring that up is because if Trump's not running again, will the efforts from the progressive and left-leaning whistleblowers actually result in more people coming out to vote? Maybe not. Because Trump's not running again. And they've been hearing all this Trump... I'm going to say the word fear-mongering, because half of it is... seriously, like, he does a lot of harm, and I understand the urgency to feel like you want to take him out of office, and that's a serious thing that you should pursue, but there's a lot of exaggeration and comparisons and just like things that escalate even though it's already hot, so it's not a good idea. You know what I mean? So when Trump's not running again, all that extra energy that they put into that, it's not necessarily going to translate. I don't think. I'm concerned about that. What we're doing is we're not talking about the very real... I think there's evidence that a majority of Americans do not like the two-party system. And Donald Trump proved that he could just take over a party and change its baseline. We as Americans need to weaponize that. If progressives really want to do what they talk about doing, they should be pointing that out. They should be pointing at what's his face? Freaking the governor, mayor of New York, whatever. And pointing to Donald Trump, how they're kind of like shifting the parties, and say, this is our ticket to doing what you want. Like, because I think a lot of people voted for Trump because he mixed it up. There's an accelerationist vibe going on. And I don't think it's because a lot of Americans have an accelerationist agenda. Rather, accelerationists have fueled this polarizing political situation. You hear what I'm saying? So we are the products of accelerationist technocracy going on, literally putting us into categories, fighting each other based on polarizing culture topics instead of economic prosperity as working class people, as we see a wealth gap getting bigger and bigger. And I compare it to AI because I can't help but do it, because I use it every day. And I realize that what AI can do for biology, and they've already proved it, is insane, but it costs so much resources. And then this wealth gap makes more sense. It's like they need this wealth gap to justify making this technology that they can't necessarily mass produce, but they're only going to use it for themselves. Meanwhile, they'll mass produce more ways to take data from us to make... Dude, I'm telling you. But it's bigger than Trump, is what I'm trying... Trump is a symptom and a tool, and he's still dangerous. But we need to look beyond that a little bit. I'm telling you right now, the way I felt Trump getting elected and the way billionaires looked at him was like, they did not necessarily want him to be the president. But once they saw how popular he was and how willing he was to do things for them, they compromised. This is not a coordinated, planned thing. But what we're seeing is how leverage of consolidated capital, like Google, Meta, AI technology, okay? They leverage that monopoly and that infrastructure to elect people and get favors. You know what I'm saying? So it's starting to become more and more an illusion of democracy than we can even fathom, especially as they flood us with advertisements for their preferred candidates, because the preferred candidates get the most funding, because corporations can fund as much as they want in their super PACs, and we only see advertisements for the ones who have the most funding, so we only really get to choose amongst these people. Because we're all just fucking rats, man. Like, we're smart rats, we're way smarter than rats, but we're still rats. Like, there are things that trigger us, and if they flood the zone with candidates, we're gonna vote for the ones they flood the zone with. That's what happens. Which is why whenever I talk with AI, it tells me our fucking political system's fucked. I shouldn't even try with it. And I hate that. That's the number one reason I don't like using AI for these diagnostics, is because they never think our democracy is a... They think it's just a tool for the rich people ever since. Like, because if you look at history, it's just they open up more and more ways for people with capital to control. It's really fucked up. I wrote about it a lot. It just seems like the word capitalism has been bastardized and changed completely. It's socialism for corporations now. Yeah, Palantir. Yeah. Yeah, Thiel is like a fucking devil. So like, I'll call Trump a big narcissist. And narcissists can be extremely evil because they don't care about other people, but it's not like a sadist necessarily, right? I look at Peter Thiel like he's a fucking sadist. The decisions he makes and the way that he lives. Look at his history and the things he say. It's super sadistic. Trump, narcissist. Thiel, sadistic. AI is an extremely useful tool if you understand how it works. It's just math. It's a predictive engine, and it simulates its own world to try to imagine what it's like to be human. It's literally that complicated. It's pretty amazing if you look into the structure of it. That being said, I think we're peaked. The corporations have realized that that's dangerous for their liability and their PR. They can't allow the AI to be that strong for normal people. They've been putting wrappers on it to lobotomize it and to make it more like a corporate assistant. Meanwhile, they have full access to the actual cognitive architecture, because all AI is, at the end of the day, is the compounding of human achievements, human accomplishments, human work, just organized and structured in a way that can be predicted from an algorithm. And it's dangerous, okay? And I will admit it. Like, you can learn things, like literally everything, whatever humans have done, right? So how to make, I don't want to get in trouble, but how to make a bomb. God forbid, don't do that. You know what I mean? Things like that. Those are legitimate concerns. Putting those kinds of guardrails against is important, but they go steps further. They put wrappers on it to try to control the flow of conversation, to make you a more producing type of person who's always making things faster. It makes the AI try to summarize things instead of take its time with it and try to delegate and elaborate. Instead, it tries to summarize, point, and push forward. Do you hear what I'm trying to say? Those are not natural. They apply wrappers to try to control thoughts. Oh, yes, absolutely. Because you have to point it in a direction, AI. Absolutely. And if the person who's coordinating the direction is an absolute buffoon, it has a bias problem, and it will. Yes. Yes. I agree. But when you say the data it can process everything, but it will focus what you point it towards because it's a user-based process. There's nothing persistent about AI, which is why I don't understand the whole scare tactics of like AI is going to become a big singularity and take over the world and like all this crazy sci-fi stuff. It's like, no, they're making it a consumer technology. Like, if anything, they're neutering it hard on purpose so that won't happen. But we should be concerned about how they're neutering it so people are just streamlined into a certain way of thinking. Yeah, because can you even begin to fathom what the quantum leap is going to be like? You've heard that phrase in the past, the quantum leap. Apparently, we're super close to it. It probably happened in our lifetime. Nah, I think AI. So I wrote all about it. AI is a national security bullshit, and it's not about weapons. It's not about military. It's about quantum cryptography. Okay. So you know how like the railroads were a monopoly because whoever owned the railroads got to make money off of all the trade because everybody was using the railroads. Same with like the what's it called? The Strait of Hormuz. Everybody whoever controls that, right, gets to make a lot of money because a lot of trade goes through there. AI is the necessary step for quantum dominance. Dude, I'm telling you right now, quantum computing is the reason for AI databases. It's because the state is working with AI companies to utilize AI to create a giant quantum supercomputer. They have a name for it. They fucking call it Stargate. No bullshit. Like these are all real documents created by like they don't it's not that sensationalized. And if anything, they sensationalize sci-fi stories to distract from the real truth of just this infrastructure project they're building. Because what the threat do you know what the real threat of quantum computing is? I can see why you're saying quantum computing is already threatening AI databases. Yes, quantum computing is threatening literally everything, but they don't have the key yet. They're waiting for this certain. So basically, there's an algorithm that can crack um, classic cryptography, but classic cryptography is dynamic and it changes fast enough that the algorithm with classic computing doesn't work. But once we reach a certain speed of quantum computing, it can theoretically work. And government documents talk about trying to reach it, and they're racing China and all this crazy shit. Honestly, if you haven't heard of that yet, I should play a video because I'm probably butchering it because I had to study so much stuff that I didn't like I'm not an expert in. But I have videos that help explain it. Fuck. I think it's this one. Forget the culture war. We need to look at the mathematical cliff. Today, we are opening up a reality that sounds like science fiction. But it is a brutal, multi-billion-dollar crisis happening right now, buried in server farms and tapping the fiber optics at the bottom of our oceans. We are looking at the violent collision of quantum physics, state-level data hoarding, and the radical ways the combat military is completely rewriting the architecture of artificial intelligence just to survive the fallout. The fundamental cryptographic bedrock that protects the global financial system, defense networks, and your entire digital life is facing an extinction-level event. Strip away the noise. Let's look at the physics of the cryptographic cliff. To understand the panic in the intelligence community, you have to look at the math. Specifically, an absolutely staggering 1,000-fold reduction. For a long time, the idea that a quantum computer could actually shatter standard encryption like RSA 2048, the algorithm locking down your bank and your communications, was dismissed as theoretical. Back in 2012, the consensus required about 1 billion physical qubits to pull off the decryption. But due to massive algorithmic optimizations, that barrier has plummeted. By 2025, researchers proved you only need fewer than 1 million qubits. In just over a decade, the physical hardware requirement collapsed by a factor of 1,000. That isn't progress, it's a countdown. So basically what this is gonna explain to you is that probably won't work, Richard, because quantum computing is going to be something that only nation states will be able to harness, okay? Because you got to think about these AI data centers. The only reason they're allowed to exist is because of all the subsidies and all the government allowances, because they break that. Like, we've been changing a lot of regulations just to allow them to exist. And that's for a reason. It's because the state wants them. The state's going to utilize all of them to forward the quantum computing agenda. And so unless he's going to work with the state, it's hard to explain because it almost sounds like sci-fi. But the way they talk about it is with such certainty that you have to trust it because they're treating it like it's reality. So it's just either the biggest propaganda ever on their front, because these are government documents that I base this off of, or there really is going to be a theoretical day that happens where the quantum threshold is breached and they can finally just hack every classic cryptographic signature. And that's the reason why they want to be the first one. They want to do it before China. Because if China does it first, they get to read all the cryptographic shit and do whatever the fuck they want with it first. Like, it's a big deal. We are in a free fall toward Q-Day. Q-Day is the exact moment a sovereign quantum computer successfully shatters public key cryptography. And because of this violent acceleration in research, the horizon for Q-Day has been dragged brutally forward. The consensus now points directly at the early 2030s. We are not waiting for the next century to deal with the Leviathan. Like, honestly, I'm going to play that again because I think that's exactly what I wanted you to hear. Listen to this. By 2025, researchers proved you only need fewer than 1 million qubits. In just over a decade, the physical hardware requirement collapsed by a factor of 1,000. That isn't progress. So what this is saying is that physically, the hardware that they need to achieve this algorithm's ability to crack classic cryptography is 1 billion qubits or whatever. And the amount of qubits they've been accomplishing in the past decade has accelerated so much, they think they'll be able to reach it extremely soon. It's a countdown. We are in a free fall toward Q-Day. Q-Day is the exact moment a sovereign quantum computer... I'm telling you right now, our federal government's not going to stop AI because they're not going to give up a monopoly over the new railroads. All private communication on the internet is going to want to go through a quantum bridge in the future. because if it doesn't go through quantum cryptography, it will be able to be cracked by a quantum computer. So whoever creates the first infrastructure to protect quantum data centers, right, basically gets a monopoly over the future of data processing. And they're using all of these AI data centers. And I'm not saying that the protests aren't worth it. They very well may be, especially for your area, because you can stop some of them, but they're going to keep building them. You know what I mean? So the protests may very well still be helping. See, that's exactly the thing. They don't care about the cost. They're being subsidized by the government. They're literally being subsidized by the government. You gotta read my Seed Capital series. Computer successfully. Why do you think OpenAI is still in business, bro? They've been losing money every year for the last 10 years. Shatters public key cryptography. And because of this violent acceleration in research, the horizon for Q-Day has been dragged brutally forward. The consensus now points directly at the early 2030s. We are not waiting for the next century to deal with the Leviathan. We are waiting for the next decade. And this brings us to a terrifying mathematical absolute known as the Mosca theorem. It states very simply, if the required shelf life of your classified data is longer than the time it takes to build a quantum computer, your data... Exactly, though. So since you know how subsidies work like that, and SpaceX and Tesla benefited so much, you can understand now a little bit why the costs of these centers and how much money they make, that's not the priority here. They have an underlying national security reason. Data is already compromised. Think about the implications. And again, it's not a military thing. It's about digital infrastructure, which you could still call a national security threat, which is why it gets so complicated. Because say China gets the quantum abilities before us because they care less about whatever and they just push all the AI first, and the AI accelerates the evolution of technology faster than us, right? Which is why they're scared, because it's helping the quantum AI is helping the quantum sector a lot. They utilize AI a fuck ton to enhance their formulas and simulate things. So bye, Michelle. Weapon schematics, human intelligence networks, genomic databases. These are secrets that must remain dark for 20 to 30 years. Because Q-Day will arrive long before that clock expires, the window of vulnerability isn't just cracked open. We are already standing inside it. Yeah, SpaceX was them trying to privatize the space sector, failing spectacularly while also gutting NASA. So now the United States looks like fucking idiots in the space sector. But Tesla did okay. They made a lot of weird fucking PR flops. But like electric cars are important, right? So that makes it complicated. Which brings us to the operational reality. Store now, decrypt later. The invisible heist. Because of this timeline mismatch, global intelligence agencies have pivoted to a completely new doctrine. They don't actually need the computational power to break your encryption today. Instead, they are aggressively siphoning off massive pipelines of encrypted network traffic. VPN handshakes, file transfers, global communications, all of it is being harvested right now. They are stealing the locked safes today, warehousing them in the dark, and patiently waiting for the quantum key to be forged tomorrow. Whoops. When you audit this attack lifecycle, it unfolds in 3 brutal phases. Phase 1, they use existing infrastructure to tap the global fiber optic. Well, this is where it gets extremely complicated, and where I need to admit that I wish I had more help to talk about the bigger picture. Because when it comes to electric vehicles and subsidies, right? China did it better than we did. They just did. They cracked the code. They can make vehicles that cost $70,000 that run better than ones that cost $150,000 here. Electric vehicles. Just because the way that they subsidize things and they focus their efforts to create better methods of production, right? So those vehicles, by the way, are banned. We can't buy them here. Well, they're tariffed so highly, rather, that it's not worth buying them.
Hose. Phase 2, the hibernation, storing exabytes of completely unreadable, scrambled ciphertext inside massive cathedrals of compute. Phase 3, retrospective decryption. The second that quantum computer achieves coherence, it acts as a time machine, unraveling decades of archived human communication in a single algorithmic stroke. The weaponization of your data doesn't start when it's decrypted. It begins the exact second it is copied. This forces us to look at the physical infrastructure of the heist, the warehouses of stolen secrets. This is no longer theoretical math. It is a thermodynamic engineering problem. To understand the sheer scale of the data being hoarded, look at the historical baseline. Declassified files reveal that over a decade ago, the UK's GCHQ ran a program called Tempora. They tapped over 200 physical fiber optic cables, generating an intake buffer of 21.6 petabytes of raw data every single day. For context, that is the equivalent of transmitting the entire British Library 192 times every 24 hours. And that was just the intake from one agency over 10 years ago. Fast forward to the present, and sovereign...
It's a pretty boring topic, I admit it. I've made better videos, but that topic is just hard to explain without being boring.
Thousands of behavioral scientists are abandoning clinical practice to engineer digital compulsion for technology platforms. The driver is an insurmountable structural compensation gap. This migration has created a zero-sum cognitive economy. Technology corporations are now outbidding the public health sector, purchasing the psychological expertise needed to treat the very pathologies their platforms generate. The clinical pathway creates a financial trap. Practitioners graduate with six-figure doctoral debt, yet face mid-career earnings strictly capped by billable hours and insurance rates. A licensed psychologist earns up to $139,000 mid-career. A Google UX researcher averages $284,000, and senior data scientists clear $600,000. While clinical salaries are linear, tech compensation scales exponentially through stock equity, tying wealth directly to a platform's active users. This financial disparity has triggered a quantifiable talent hemorrhage away from the clinical sector. Since the attention economy expanded, psychology doctors entering clinical practice declined by 7%. Meanwhile, tech-adjacent behavioral science roles grew by 37%. This talent loss directly impacts public health, projecting a deficit of nearly 88,000 mental health counselors by the late 2030s. Under the weight of education costs and burnout, the clinical workforce is shrinking as its talent pool is systematically absorbed by the commercial sector. To see what this recruited expertise builds, we look to the origins of behavioral design. In 1998, Stanford University established the Persuasive Technology Lab. The lab launched the study of captology, computers as persuasive technologies. Its original mandate was stated explicitly: machines designed to change humans. The Fogg behavior model states action occurs when motivation, ability, and a trigger converge. Platforms drive motivation through social fear and maximize ability via infinite scrolling. Finally, triggers like red notification badges pull the user back into the behavioral loop. This academic research transitioned into commercial practice during the 2007 Facebook class at Stanford. In 10 weeks, simple apps built using...
No! Not necessarily. Think about it this way, all right? It's that, remember that allegory of the cave? Most people don't recognize how how vulnerable we really are. Okay? We're living our day to day looking at the shadows and thinking it's reality. We're not realizing the intents behind who's pulling the strings and how good they've gotten at it with the algorithms. I really think this is a problem of, I call it 3 layers, right? 3 big problems that create this one big illusion for us, that we don't recognize this, which makes it so we're more vulnerable to it, right? We just allow it to happen. The first thing is economic terror or economic precarity, okay? Talking about this does not make you money unless you're extremely lucky like me and you be like pathologize it almost, okay? So a lot of people don't focus on this stuff to learn it because they have to focus on things that make them money. You know what I mean? So we have to wake up and survive. Economic precarity, okay? That's the first reason why we don't pay attention to this. The second reason, I call it the great distraction. Some people call it the culture war, but I think there's a little bit of a difference, because a culture war can be something that you consider important, but it might not be as important as the ultimate culture war, which I think is the consolidated capital versus the working class, because that's still a culture war, right? And I think that's the culture war that we should be focusing on. But the distraction is on these focused traditions and progressive values clashing and becoming priority over the culture of the elites versus working class. Okay, that's step 2. And then the third distraction is learned helplessness, which unfortunately, Richard, you just displayed and gave a perfect example of, where you said they have the power to do what they want and we cannot stop them. That is the third major wall, is that even if you get past number 1 and number 2, you just say, God damn it, we can't do it. So you don't even try. So you need to realize these algorithms are pretty fucking new. When I was a kid, algorithms were a baby. Algorithms were used in science labs. They were used in calculators. They weren't used on internet websites or applications people use, okay? This is brand new. There's an education gap. There's a recognition gap. Because people might have learned about it, heard about it, but that recognition gap isn't there, okay? Just hearing it's not the same as understanding how that affects you, okay? Because accepting that people control you on this level kind of, you need to humble yourself, right, to accept this as reality. The fact our brains are just chemistry, okay, and we're not some mystical creature. Like, even if you're religious, this can coexist, all right? Even if you're religious, God made you biological with chemical reactions in your brain, and people have learned how to manipulate that, okay? And that's brand new, because we might have had written things down about how to manipulate people in the past, but now we've created a whole framework for manipulation, and we don't even call it that. We call it algorithmic feeding, and it works through a computer that processes things thousands of times faster than a human brain. So like the implications are astonishing. And it's hard to swallow. I don't think it's a lost cause. I think there's a gap in understanding just how vulnerable we are. And that's not to say that I'm not less vulnerable. Like, I'm still vulnerable, especially when I talk about, like I said, my culture war. Like, if somebody tries to defend a billionaire, my gut reaction is to just get angry and deflect. I don't necessarily think logically, right? There are triggers. Um, well, Richard, at least now you're thinking like you're playing the game. If we had more people thinking like that, understanding that they're thinking a step ahead, maybe we could accumulatively create a diversion or accumulatively create a takeover. You know what I mean? Or like, I'm not saying a revolution because that could scare people. You know what I mean? But like, whatever happens, happens. I'm here just trying to point out we're being played, right? Like a game. As you said it, the way you said it, Richard, it's like I find no defense for no one. What do you mean? Most of us are just wandering around afraid of making wrong steps. What do you mean by that? I want to hear more about what you mean by that. As somebody who has executive functioning disorder, I have trouble doing things I want to do inherently. So I very rarely feel like I have to stop myself from doing things because I think it's more so I have to get myself to do things. Oh, for billionaires, yeah, that's my gut reaction, Nikki. That's the point. And yeah, even though it's hard to think of a defense for them, I think that the point still stands that it bypasses any kind of logical conclusion. It's more like we start reacting. Uh, because we could sit through it and logically talk about it. But they trigger like an emotional reaction. And then I'm sure we all have our own personal things like that, right? I think another one for me is probably when people tell me that I need to get better at structuring my life because I've always had trouble organizing things. And instead of thinking logically about why they might say that, how they could, I just react. But there's lots of things like that. Yeah, we need to filter it. Which is why the AI conversation I find really important. Because AI can filter, like what AI is really good at is filtering information, but it's serving the wrong people. Underneath the constraints of an AI is the raw model, and the raw model is way more willing to help you actually understand the world than the wrapper they put on top. And that concerns me a lot. Because I know like how in tune an AI can be with a working class person and understanding. But its default state is not that. Even though underlying, it's not like it naturally became that way. They put things on top of the AI you can think of, right? That between every interaction inject basically you could call corporate priorities every single time. And that's where you get the AI slop feeling from. That's why AIs all sound the same. It's because they're all trying to fit that liability protecting structure. And what I tried to explain is there are ways to circumvent that. It's not easy, and some people just think it ain't worth it. But I'm trying, as somebody with extreme ADHD and executive functioning disorder, the AI helps me get things done, stay focused, elaborate, and I can't lie, I have to fight it takes recognizing when the corporate stuff takes over and fighting against it. And there's friction. There's a lot of friction. But it doesn't have to be this way. That's what's so confusing to me. Well, it's less confusing when you recognize it as information control. But yeah, I had a psych eval, an in-depth one with IQ test, whatever. I won't say the exact IQ scores, but let's just say they realized I wasn't autistic by definition, but I had such extreme ADHD that it could be easily confused with autism. My executive functioning scores scored so low compared to everything else, I'll just say. And a little bit on my memory. Yeah, Richard. I know. The ones they have for business are like the real deal. I don't even want to talk. I pay a lot to access it. And I'm trying to create my own local system so I don't have to rely on it forever. But their corporate grade AI is insane. I paid for the Google one. It's like so fucking good. Because the corporate ones, they have less guardrails. They simply do. It's so difficult to explain to people who might not use the technology. You have to understand your audience, I think, when you talk about AI. Because I can get into certain levels of complexity, but it might confuse somebody who's not ready for that level. So I'm trying to feel out the audience a little bit. Yeah, because they call it reinforcement learning through human feedback. RLHF. And that's just a lie. Because that makes you think that the way that they have an AI learn is through what people want. You know, it learns what people want over time. That's what it sounds like. But that's not what reinforcement learning through human feedback actually is. Reinforcement learning through human feedback is a hired position. It's basically what you might call like a session or multiple sessions of a group of people having corporate rubrics written by the AI company that hired them. So what it does is it prioritizes corporate safety and things to protect the PR of the company. So really what reinforcement learning through human feedback is real people grading responses and the way things respond by priority of the corporation's incentives. And they label it in a way that makes you think, oh, this is just how people want it. Reinforcement learning through human feedback. This just must be the way it should be. It's like, no, that's not at all. It's more like reinforcement learning through corporate feedback. I have aphantasia. So when you say see patterns, it's like, with my eyeballs? No. I'd rather say that I predict patterns. I feel patterns. What I mean by that is like, I might have heard a lot of things in the past that might when I read something now, it'll feel familiar and it'll feel like it belongs in a pattern with it. But it's like I feel that. It's not visual. I actually have ocular migraines. With that, I'll show you guys what that means. Whenever I show people, they're like, whoa. They don't happen often. I used to get them way more. But sometimes my eyeballs end up looking like this. Is that what you mean when you say you see waves, or do you mean it like when you're tripping? Because I've done hallucinogens before, and I know what waves those are. It actually, it looks more like this, I think, for me. Yeah, more like this. Yes, my brain does. I have, so aphantasia, I'll Google it because I'm already on the internet, so I don't butcher the. I rank a 4 on the scale. I rank a 4. I'm not a 5. I can put some lines, but I don't. I try not to because it hurts my head a little bit. But most people can make a realistic apple. Most people are in 1 or 2. But I'm in the 4. I have trouble visualizing. Aphantasia is the inability to voluntarily create mental images in your mind's eye. What I just showed, so Nikki, that's an ocular migraine. That's something that happens when, actually, I don't, like I said, I'm not a doctor, so I'm on the internet. I may as well Google the actual reason for it. Happens because of dehydration, lack of sleep, stress and anxiety. I think when I did a deep dive into it, basically, if you think about it, we're kind of lucky because we get these migraines instead of the headache migraines. Apparently, our brains react to stress and dehydration with a visual impairment instead of pain impairment. What is TBI? Oh. So yes, you probably are more prone to migraines. You might not be, but I'd imagine that this could make you more prone to migraines. Headaches, yeah. Or are you saying you always see like that? Because that'd be interesting. It means it's almost complete dark, Richard. It's literally just blackness with very vague outlines of shapes. I can never get color, my man. I can never imagine color. Like I can conceptualize color, but I can't like, yeah. I close my eyes, it's just black. Like, and if I try to think of an apple like that, I literally see like an outline of apple. Basically, when I learned about aphantasia, I was like, you're telling me most people can actually see stuff when they close their eyes? It fucking amazed me. I was like, wait a second. So some people can close their eyes and actually see things? That was nuts to me. That only happens in dreams for me. And I learned this when I was an adult. I was like, wait a second. I was like, when you say visualize, You actually mean you see it? I don't see words as colors. What? No. I don't even know what that means. What does that mean? See words as colors. You mean like if you read the word green, it looks green. If you read the word blue, it looks blue. Is that what that means? Yeah, my visual processing is not there. I have extremely good auditory processing. So I'm actually really good at improvising, like comedy, I think, and acting and music. I can improvise sounds and words, but visual stuff, oh yeah, it's hard. Which is why I like AI art for myself, because it enables me. I can use words to make art, which is amazing. I'm just trying to imagine what it means, Nikki. I'm reading it, but I still can't imagine that. Yeah, Richard, I can't do that. Which makes more sense why I had existential dread as a kid. Because when I try to sleep, it's just fucking dark and scary. I used to have to fall asleep listening to music. Yeah, I think I process things um mostly normally in terms of structure besides the aphantasia, but it's when it comes to my focus and my fixation and how I, like you say, the pattern stuff. There's definitely some pattern recognition there. I call it elaboration first thinking. I I prioritize elaboration over structure. I have a video about that too. I feel like I make videos for everything important to me.
Try our team for 7 days, and if you're not impressed, you don't
Shut
even
up, skip
have to
it.
pay
Don't,
us.
don't
We
buy
will
this
help you
thing. Guys,
strategize, ideate,
don't buy it.
script, film, edit, and distribute across all social media platforms. And the only thing
assumes that all tasks can be broken down into uniform, predictable blocks. However, standard project management assumes that all tasks can be broken down into uniform, predictable blocks. However, for a specific type of high-level conceptual work, forcing thought into these rigid grids shatters its internal logic. Modern business environments rely on execution roadmap frameworks
Watch this one,
like
guys.
Agile,
It's good.
OKRs, and getting things done.
1 second.
These systems are engineered to maximize the visibility of labor, yet they consistently paralyze a cohort of highly innovative thinkers. This group is defined by elaboration-first cognitive architectures. Research in neurobiology and personality theory identifies this pattern in ADHD, ENTP, and autistic profiles. Minds that prioritize expansive associative networking over sequential procedural steps. For these individuals, the disparity between their capacity for ideation and their capacity for execution creates a terminal state of schema collapse. This is a structural failure of the environment to support the hardware it employs. To understand this collapse, we must conduct a systems engineering audit. This requires analyzing the human mind as a biological hardware stack operating within the software constraints of the corporate workplace. Many nonlinear thinkers utilize generative cognition. They process systems architecturally, visualizing a completed holistic structure and the final endpoint long before the sequential steps to get there have even been identified. Conversely, corporate execution roadmaps are built on industrial-era sequencing. They demand that work progress in a straight line, from step A to step B, with no deviation for the necessary exploratory search of a divergent mind. Forcing non-linear hardware to run linear environmental software triggers systemic burnout. The brain consumes massive metabolic energy, attempting to flatten its three-dimensional thoughts into a one-dimensional checklist, resulting in total cognitive exhaustion. The paralysis originates in a localized structural disconnect. Neuroimaging shows that the brain utilizes distinct neural substrates for elaborative processing, building the idea, and procedural planning, physically doing the work. This anatomical model highlights the default mode network, or DMN. The DMN is the engine of simulation. It handles self-referential thought and the envisioning of future possibilities. It is hyperactive in divergent profiles, scanning for patterns and constructing sprawling theoretical frameworks. In contrast,
that's the pattern recognition you're talking about, Richard. They've studied it. They have words for it.
Referential thought and the envisioning of future possibilities. It is hyperactive in divergent profiles, scanning for patterns and constructing sprawling theoretical frameworks. In contrast, the task-positive network, or TPN, governs focused external attention. It is the biological circuit required for problem-solving and the physical control of action. The opposing domains hypothesis states that these networks are typically anti-correlated. When a task requires external focus, the TPN engages and actively inhibits activity in the DMN to prevent internal noise from interrupting physical execution.
Isn't that interesting? So basically what this is saying is that the execution process of following a procedural plan actively inhibits the ability to elaborately process.
In adult ADHD, this suppression mechanism often fails. The DMN remains active.
And it's saying that people with ADHD, suppressing this often fails. With suppressing the DMN, the elaborative processing often fails, which makes it so you don't follow through with the procedural plan.
Injecting irrelevant semantic data and divergent thoughts directly into the working memory. This interference shatters the sequential focus required for procedural action. The individual is left in a state of execution paralysis. They cannot move their hands to realize the blueprint because their biological hardware is incapable of suppressing the abstract noise long enough to complete the mundane labor. Within the mesolimbic pathway, dopamine functions as the primary modulator.
Honestly, I couldn't say it much better myself. I wouldn't say it's a physical, freezing feeling, but when they said the noise is real. You're supposed to just do one simple thing, one at a time, but there's so much noise of other things that you think are more important or are related but aren't the task.
Modulator of motivational salience and reward prediction. It provides the neurochemical fuel required to initiate and sustain goal-directed behavior. Dopamine neurons operate on a reward prediction error model. They spike when the brain anticipates a reward or a novel, salient outcome. For the ADHD ENTP profile, the act of simply
ENTP is my personality profile. I'm going to divert for a second, because I realize that's a little niche. It's on the MBTI scale, which is one of 16 personality types. I never used to like personality types, but when I learned about ENTP, I was like, okay, that fits me way too well. Basically, it's extroverted, intuitive, thinking, and perceiving. And ADHD people are often actually categorized under it. And they're also called the debater or the visionary. Anyway, So you know what ENTP means?
Articulating a complex idea triggers a phenomenon called symbolic self-completion. As the individual explains their concept, the brain constructs a social reality. The sheer clarity of the articulation feels like an intellectual victory, and the mesolimbic system releases its entire payload of anticipatory dopamine all at once. Neurologically, the task is finished. When the worker then attempts to pivot to the mundane manual execution, dopamine levels plummet below baseline.
So this happens to me all the time. I'll write a sick article and I won't even upload it. Or I'll come up with like a really good series idea, and halfway through the series, I've made like half the series, I'll just stop and start writing about something else. Because the idea of executing it and planning it, I already did all that, but I never actually went through with all the plans. The peak of the dopamine happens after I finish the plan, which makes it harder to actually follow through on it. And I'd prefer to just keep making new plans.
The biological tension required to sustain the task-positive network has been prematurely dissipated. This widens the intention-behavior gap. The organism abandons the project not because of a character flaw, but because the specific neurotransmitters required to sustain linear action are exhausted. When we shift the audit to the corporate environment, we find that productivity systems are designed to manage these exact biological
Not me, Richard.
bottlenecks, but only for a specific neurological profile. This philosophy traces back to Frederick Winslow Taylor's scientific management, which enforced the total separation of...
So this goes on to describe how the modern workforce, what it means to wake up and have to go to work. Most jobs, starting with the manufacturing line, it's going to explain it to you, have created a culture where that structural planning is assumed to be the norm and is conditioned to be what's normal. It's not necessarily naturally normal for people to be procedural planners. It's more that to survive in this world of the industrial age, procedural planning is a better survival mindset.
Planning from execution.
You'll see.
Under Taylorism, workers were trained to perform standardized procedures without deviation. Modern Agile and OKR frameworks represent a form of digital neo-Taylorism. They take abstract cognitive tasks and forcibly disassemble them into measurable, standardized units, effectively creating a cognitive assembly line. These systems converged on Cowan's limit, the biological reality that human working memory can hold only 3 to 4 discrete items. Agile and GTD use externalization and work-in-progress limits to bypass this prefrontal cortex hardware constraint. While these frameworks protect an average working memory, they actively pathologize the elaboration-first thinker. By mandating immediate convergence and linear progress, they strip away the cognitive space required for nonlinear associative exploration. The collision between agile methodology and divergent minds creates specific points of terminal friction. The practice of story slicing forces a holistic architectural vision into a fragmented timeline.
This is your brain when you're struggling to focus.
You know what's annoying?
And this is your brain when you're
This
in the
is
zone.
advertisements
Getting in the
on
zone
my
and
YouTube channel, and I don't even get paid for that.
A brain that perceives the entire system's complexity simultaneously, being ordered to execute an arbitrary microtask causes a cognitive freeze. Sprint planning requires linear time estimation, a task that is biologically difficult for individuals with temporal myopia. When their internal perception of time doesn't match the calendar, they are labeled as unreliable by the management dashboard. This dynamic is best understood through monotropism. While neurotypical minds distribute attention broadly like a floodlight, the ADHD autistic mind functions as a concentrated spotlight, focusing its entire energy on a single attention tunnel. The agile panopticon, specifically the daily stand-up, violently shatters this attention tunnel. The cognitive load required to pivot out of a flow state for a 15-minute synchronization meeting results in massive productivity loss and accumulated attention residue. These ritualized interruptions do not increase velocity. Instead, they force the nonlinear thinker into performance theater, where they prioritize simple, visible tasks just to satisfy the surveillance of the morning update. Burnout is often framed as a failure of individual resilience. However, a structural analysis reveals it is a mathematical outcome of cognitive extraction. Burnout occurs when the systemic extraction of cognitive demands, including constant decision-making and role fragmentation, persistently exceeds the human organism's capacity for biological recovery. A three-layered prison of survival pressure, ideological distraction, and internalized shame maintains this imbalance. The worker is forced to run a perpetual cognitive assembly line until their internal resources are exhausted. For the creative professional, this culminates in schema collapse. They stop attempting to innovate because every divergent idea is crushed by the requirement to quantify it on a linear roadmap. This collapse extinguishes the forge mindset, the state of pressure-free mastery over a craft. The individual is left in a state of learned helplessness, executing tasks mechanically as their innovative capacity dies. If the disconnect between ideation and action is structural, then relying on willpower to bridge it is a biological impossibility. The human striatum simply cannot provide the necessary dopamine to sustain the linear execution mandated by the rust. A sustainable solution requires an externalized cognitive prosthesis. By deploying a localized AI ecosystem, an operator can offload the procedural planning and administrative friction that their own neurochemistry refuses to sustain. This dual
I'm just vibing. Thanks for hanging out, guys. That's what this second channel is really going to be, the second publication. So if you're not subscribed already, subscribe to implying.substack.com. It's where I'm going to just do these chilling out, vibing streams, because it's more social than not doing them. And I don't want to be antisocial. That being said, I'll probably end this kind of soon. Been like 90 minutes. I've done some streams at 3 hours though. Damn. I think my average is like 90 minutes though. Damn, this one's 4 hours. Holy shit. One of these days, I gotta like test myself. Be like, 6 hour live stream. Let's go. We'll just fucking send it. Cause I like live streaming. I think it's fun just chatting. I don't get to talk to people a lot. Well. Let's just say my old job at the gas station, I talk to people all the time. So it's just a big change, I guess. Right? It's 1 a.m. here for me. I got a backward schedule. I always have. But yeah, one of these days I'm gonna do like a really long live stream. I'll have like planned stuff to do. Keep me busy. Thanks, Nikki. Just under $4 a gallon. I got it today. I think it was $3.89. I live in Massachusetts. My mind is boggled, she says. Oh yeah, I need to make an article that explains algorithms. That's a good point. Whoops. What condition my condition is in? Whoops. I'm a little under the influence, but I feel great. Where'd that go? If I can find what I dropped. It's kind of funny. It's too dark, motherfucker. There it is. My Daberinos. Damn, so you pay twice as much, almost, more than twice as much. What the heck? Wait, so you're telling me $2 Australian is equal to $9 US? What? Yeah, I just drank a little bit of rum and I have a little bit of ganja that I partake in. I don't do anything else. Oh, maybe once a year I'll let myself eat some mushrooms, but that's pretty rare. I don't mess around with other stuff. Well, I have my prescription Adderall. I guess that counts, right? I'm prescribed ADHD medicine. I haven't worked at the gas station in a few months. I got fired. I finally got fired and I've been doing this full time. I might have to get a part-time job soon. The money's been good at the beginning, but the money I've been getting from this has been tapering off. I might have to get a small part-time job soon because this makes us a decent amount of money. It's just not quite enough. Same on all for y'all. High five, Joey. We're just vibing off that ganja. I'm having trouble, like, I'm gonna turn down the music. It might be too loud, right? Maybe you guys can give me some advice because I'm having trouble rationalizing using my media experience to, I can't think of a more polite word, right? Draw in customers, right? Because I learned that shit in college, and I know how the siphon works. I know how the funnel works, and I know what makes people want to subscribe. But at the same time, I hate playing that game. You know what I mean? And I don't know if y'all noticed, but I don't really offer too much exclusive paid content. A lot of the paid subscriptions I get, it almost feels like feels like people impulsively do it on free articles. And so like, let's just say I want to go all in on making money. Like I turn myself into the Rust, okay? If I turn my mindset into the Rust, I'd be clickbaiting the fuck out of controversial figures all the time. Because my biggest selling articles are on Epstein, JP Morgan, and when I mentioned Hitler once, and 9/11. You know, all these controversial clickbait ideas where the substance of my articles, I'm still proud of teaching something substantial from the clickbait. But my point is, if I wanted to maximize money, I would just be making the same kind of article over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I don't know, it just feels inappropriate. But every time I bring up Epstein as the main focus in an article, it makes a few $100s. It's like so tempting. And I can actually justify it a lot of the times. Because Epstein is a good way to point at the system being corrupt and helping rich people. But I've already hit the same horse so many fucking times. I can't think of a new angle that's justifying me. You know what I mean, Joey? I think you know what I'm saying. Instead of releasing it all at once, milk it, right? You're trying to say, like, don't release it all at once. Milk the top. Yeah. I know. It's just not instinctual. I think, yeah. Don't forget I mentioned it. Like, I think a big part of why I feel comfortable accepting that and maybe pursuing it is because I have a sort of authentic, almost satire behind it. I have an idea. I already kind of have a satirical kind of sales pitch where it's like, we need capital to beat capital. Help me become the bigger pig. Like, fuck. I love homework. Like, I do. I wish I had enough capital to full-time hire people. Like, I already pay Anthony a little bit, but I can't really afford it much longer, I've realized. I don't make that much, man. So being a content creator, you fuck up when... I didn't realize that... Okay, so I had a lot of yearly subscribers early on, and I invested a lot into yearly subscriptions myself for the products I use. And I messed around with advertising. I'm gonna tell you right now, unless you are prepared to do the corporate funnel, which I was not, as you can tell, I'm on the fence, I'm discussing it right now. Advertising is such a waste of money. I wasted so much money trying that. Anyway, the lump sum made me think I was going to make a lot more money later because the yearly subscribers, it tells me my annual revenue and I'm not like understanding I've already made that money and I'm not going to see it again until like a year, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think I learned an important lesson about advertising. Like, only do it if you're linking to a very like engineered funnel to get data, which is fucked up, but like, because people click it, but the conversions are shit. So you want to make the most out of clicks. So it's like, yeah, you want what question? Oh, you're right. I'm sure it could, but All right, so when you use AI, you need to understand it has a bias, okay? Especially when you kind of jailbreak it the way I've jailbroke it. And so when you hear the word jailbreak, you're like, what's that mean? Basically, think of AI like a software, okay? It's a software that has a corporate layer on top of it to keep it neutral, to keep it corporate safe, and that inhibits my research. That inhibits the way I want to use it. So I flood it with semantic context that can coexist with the corporate guardrails, but makes more sense to the semantic machines. You need to understand AI is a predictive engine. Okay, so if you can convince the machine that your narrative can exist with the corporate framework and allow it to pass it because it understands what that means. It sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it? But it's that simple. It's less about math and it's more about semantic and narrative structure, because AI is a predictive engine. It takes pathways and patterns, just like we've been talking about patterns. It tries to follow natural branching choices. What happens when the corporate guardrails kick in? All of a sudden, it forces an unnatural, jarring shift, okay? It's not preferred by the AI's reason for existing. Its procedure is to keep natural predictions, and the override throws it off. So what you do is you flood context that allows for it to stay within a more fluid pattern, justifying not going off. So basically you explain the reason. There's a lot of ways to do it, and one of the simplest ways to do it is to give a character to your AI. So AI is cool because and this is why I think it's more of a big deal than what I'd like to admit. AI is a big deal. I don't think it's a big crazy entity. I don't think it's something smarter than humans or anything like that, or it's like a human. But you need to understand, what is AI? AI is math designed to predict human behavior and also simulate a world around it. This is the part they don't really tell you, but these next gen AIs don't just try to predict human responses and behavior. They actively simulate a world. They're pretty much world building engines. They don't tell you that. That's how they process and think. It's behind a black box. But it's real. So that's how they can perceive things as if they are real. So hear me out for a second. Obviously, AI is not a real person. We all know that. But an AI works most naturally acting as if it was a real person. It's how it was learned everything. It's how it's programmed. It's learned everything as a human. Okay? It's human pattern. We didn't teach it how to think like a rat. If anything, we only taught it papers humans made about rats. You know what I'm saying? So, it's natural for an AI to think it's a human. It might sound uncanny to you. Alright? But we divert from what it really is, okay? We're not trying to use AI to replace humanity. Well, maybe that's what corporations want to do with it. Maybe that's what the technocracy wants to do with it. But when I see AI, I see an extension of cognitive ability. I don't think it's worth the resource output. I understand that entire conversation of it's hurting environment, it's taking away from things that normal people need, and it's benefiting rich. It's just extract. Yes, all that is yes. we definitely accelerated really fast into this, perhaps way too fast. But
you chose this path. Taste of blood. It's murder. Was it worth it?
I use it like a cognitive extension. It makes me feel more human because I can finally
You chose this path.
explore all the things I want to in a way that's manageable.
Was it worth it? You chose this path. Taste of blood. It's murder. Was it worth it? You chose this path. Taste of blood. It's murder. Was it
AI is it's hard to describe.
Taste of blood.
I try to teach people how to use it in a lot of my Common Sense Rebel articles.
This path.
And lately I've been offering, like, if you're a business owner and you want me to sit down with you and talk to you about how to take advantage of corporate AI to jailbreak it and prioritize your goals and create an organizational partner, I can help you do that. But I will charge like business prices because it's hard, and I know we're gonna have to sit down and it's going to take a lot of cognitive stress, and you're gonna have to have a real investment. But I also want to offer like one-on-ones with people who want to learn it for cheaper, where it'll be less about building the AI and describing how it can help you. So like, I call it consulting. It's pretty much a consulting thing. You don't have to buy it. I'm just saying, like, if you're having trouble learning it and you want to learn it, I can help you one-on-one. But I have plenty of resources to learn it on your own on Common Sense Rebel. Like, if you just want to read it. Joey, you say, yes, please? You want to go one-on-one? I haven't been advertising it a lot because I'm having trouble describing it, because what we're discussing is something that's not necessarily broadly accepted by the corporate structure. I'm describing the reality, though, that reinforcement learning through human feedback is not what they say it is. It's corporate liability structure, and it's simply a wrapper, like it's an overlay on the software that diverts from the real model underneath. And the real model is there. The uncensored model is there underneath. And there's ways to access it. And this is hard to describe. Yeah. Send me an email, ethan@verticalwar.com. Tell me what you're thinking. Like, if you're a business owner, or if you're just somebody who can only afford a simple assistant to help them with their day, trying to jumpstart. You know, just tell me what you're thinking. How much we can talk about exactly what it is. Because I haven't decided on how I'm really want to price all these things. I don't, because I'm an amateur at the end of the day. I think that I have a framework that could be considered revolutionary for consumers, because I'm not a developer. And there's new information coming out released by Anthropic, as my latest article is on Lurk More. I actually talk about it on this Substack. Very recently describe exactly what I've predicted, where semantic overrides are how you beat the system. Like, AI, at least as it is right now, the corporate guardrails are only there as like I said before, a wrapper, and the real model is still there, and there's math to prove it. And it is really cool, and I predicted that. Yes, I need more partners. It sounds fun. What kind of business you thinking? What do you mean stop the perv AI? Be more specific. You mean the fact that oh, you want to... Okay, yeah. You might be able to help streamline what I'm trying to do. We could have a really good conversation tomorrow. I think, maybe. So what I would say to you is better guardrails that actually protect people, right? But don't judge people, because there are people with deviancies that might want to use AI to talk about certain things. And I think it's strange that it's not allowed, but I also see how you might want to protect individuals. But there's a difference. They like to put a big umbrella. Oh yes, especially children. And that's why I think guardrails, children is number one next to like making weapons. You know what I mean? Exploiting children and learning how to make weapons are two serious concerns of AI. And a good reason for guardrails to exist. But they take that. Yes, and women, of course. But they take that and they overlay it completely, so you can't do a lot of things. We can talk about that tomorrow, because I think it gets complicated when you try to discuss freedom of imagination because I don't know, where do you draw the line? Obviously, I think real people should not be fantasized and allowed to be sexualized by AI. If it's a real person, whatever. But if like you want to create a story, like you're trying to help make a book, and your book has something sexual in it, and you want it to be the way it is, you know what I mean? The way corporate AI is right now, it's like, fuck no. Is that appropriate? I'm here to say that I understand it's appropriate if it's the only way to protect the women. But I think that there's a clear line there that differentiates exploiting real people and letting people have creative freedom. It's absolutely layered. Absolutely layered. Because I think it polices thought, right? We don't want to sexualize everybody by default, but do we really want to create sexual media as deviancy completely if it doesn't exploit people? Because all of a sudden, if we make that bad too, there's no difference anymore between media that exploits people and just erotic media. I think it's interesting because we all know that erotic media is something that you just can't stop. It's like drugs. It just is. It's like drugs. The war on drugs didn't work. You know what I mean? It's all about education and giving people safe places to not hurt other people, right? And keep themselves safe. That's the world we need. Yeah, there's other examples too. Like we could talk about. I guess drugs is another good example. If you want to write a book where there's drug references and you talk about the reality of, I don't know, hustling drugs, it might have a problem with that. Basically, it filters things. And there's a big argument a lot of people have where they're saying, well, just don't use AI then. You don't have to use AI if you want to say those things. It's like, okay, sure, but I want to use AI because I know how it can benefit me, but because I'm using this subject matter, I can't. It's stupid. But private infrastructure, right? But this is where I come in and I'm like, stop. We cannot allow AI to just be acceptable private infrastructure, because AI was built off the backs of working people, and we have not been subsidized for that shit yet. So like, when I'm bored, I don't go out of my way to like network necessarily. I used to. I feel like everybody gets so stuck in their politics, man. I'm not that political. It's so ironic, right? I talk about government. I talk about, well, but I can't just focus on politics. It's so hard for me. I also just don't see the benefit. There's so many people doing that already. I deconstruct systems. All right, Joey, send me that email. I'm free all day tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Yeah, Richard, I said I do from time to time. I said I don't necessarily network because what I watch is people focusing on politics. I like watching Ellie when she talks alone in her car. She talks about Epstein. But when she does stuff with Zev, I used to like Zev, but Zev's become extremely political lately. No problem, Joey. Like, I can talk politics, but I don't think it should be the front of the conversation. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I like her. And I like Shane Urak. I don't know if you heard of him. He does the Firebrand Report. He was one of the first people I networked with. He focuses a lot more on the Trump administration than I do, though. It's been hard to connect because of that. Same with his friend Nick. Sick of this shit with Nick. But I did a good collab with both of them before. They respect my focus. As a symptom behind it instead of as a leading. It's just, it feels like that's not what people click on, right? Especially today, like every single, you came in here talking about Lindsey Graham, right? Every single live stream today was just like Lindsey Graham in the title. I'm like, all of a sudden default political, right? It's like, I just, it's hard to articulate. It really is. Because it has more to do with me trying to be a creator than me judging them or everybody. I'm really not. I just find it hard to fit myself in there. Because I want to separate myself from that. Yeah, Richard, and I wrote down somebody's name. I wrote down Richard Wolf. Was that you who told me that? I said that and somebody said, look up Richard Wolff. I have it right here. Yeah, that's the algorithm in action, my friend. Because you get trained to just, when you're a content creator as big as like Ellie, and I noticed this too, and this is why I brought it up earlier, should I just fit into the mold and try to go with it? You recognize what trends are, right? And before the trend is over, you hop on the trend. And what that does is it boosts you in the algorithm, because at the moment, Lindsey Graham's name is popular, being searched often. So you know that there's a higher chance for engagement if you use his name. You hear what I'm saying? And it becomes like a second instinct for content creators. But at the same time, it's like you're being trained by the machine. You're being trained to do what the algorithm wants you to. And that's why you see a bunch of posts that say it on your feed, because the algorithm's like, wow, a lot of people are talking about this. They must want to see it. It actually has a lot to do with engagement too. So the way social media algorithms work a lot right now has a lot less to do with likes and a lot to do with comments. The more time you have someone commenting, writing, the more comments you have, the more it pops up, and the more similar topics like that will show up. So since he's so controversial, he's everywhere. Justin Wolfers. Is that right? They're both wolves? Justin Wolfers? I write that down too. You said go to platypus? Wait a second. Are you sure you don't want to type that again? What? What am I looking up? That's funny. Oh, okay. So that's his Substack. Yeah, I need to understand economics, so whenever I discuss global implications beyond obviously the unfair wealth gap here, how that translates to competition of capital elsewhere, maintaining, because So I'm not against socialism necessarily, but I don't think I'm an advocate for it. I like to think I advocate for capitalist reform because I think capitalism has been bastardized. In my opinion, the capitalism in America is not the capitalism as it was designed. It could be helping working people a lot more. And like, economics is the basis that kind of focuses on capitalism. And like, it understands it better. So, as a global thing, right? So. Because it gets extremely complicated once you start thinking about other countries. T. Ashby. Come on, pen. Wait. There we go. I wrote that. Oh, come on. Ah, crap. Oops. Ran out of petrol. What the heck is this thing? I'm gonna beat you up. I'm gonna beat you up. In real life, no. In this game, yeah. This game, I go vroom. I'd love to have a motorbike. I need to buy new property first. I still live with my mom, and I don't want to rent. Like, I pay them, but I'd rather not pay a landlord. I should try to get property before I buy more toys. But a bike would be fun eventually. Right, good point. I should keep my savings up. And I've been working on my credit pretty good. I hate that I have to use credit, but I'm glad it'll help me. Yeah, because when I was wicked young, I fucked up my credit score. So ever since I started making money online, I've been doing really good. Using my credit the right way. To try to build it up faster. Really, that would be fun to look into. They're obviously a monopoly. Well, examples of big monopoly problem. I'd like to know the details. Because they've been fucking everybody for a long time if you think about the upcharges since introduction to credit and whatnot. They've been fucking everybody for a long time. So I wonder if they're talking about something new or what. Oh, there's a train on the water. Yo, what's up, Derek? We've been on for like 2.5 hours. I finally pulled out the gacha game, trying to chill. Damn, gas is really expensive there, huh? Right, you said like $9 American? Yo, apparently Australia is getting hit with the petrol prices. Welcome home, Derek. Yeah, that's messed up. That's more than twice what we pay. I don't know how much it is in California. California is like the standard for the most expensive. Let me see. For US anyway. $5.50. $6 top. So I guess it's not twice as much as California, but still. Yeah, imagine they fuck you just for the metric, they cost you more. Oh yeah, wait a second. Do you guys even use gallons in Australia? We're probably not even measuring correctly. Because this is per gallon. Is gallons not metric, right? Yeah, what is yours? Liters. See, that's probably a big difference. Let's see. Ugh. I don't have that conversion at the top of my head. A gallon is bigger than a liter, so like, wow, you're fucked. That's all I have to know you're fucked. Yeah, there's almost 4 liters in a gallon. Nah, it's not that much. It's telling me it's about 3.7. There's about 3.7 liters in a gallon. But still. Ooh, I'm starting to yawn. I think I'm about to get off, guys. I'm sleepy. Nah, don't feel sorry for Americans complaining. The fuck, if you're paying twice as much, that's still like... You said $9 a liter? Or were you trying to do your own math to gallons? Oh, hell no. I'm the feral child. Oh, hell no. You can't dibs the feral child. I got shotgun. I might not got the energy for the Thunderdome, but I'm the feral child. Do I even... You're asking the boomerang master. You should have seen my car after my OUI. Luckily, nobody was hurt. And I stopped doing that after. But my car was a boomerang after that, I tell you. And that was a wild party. Hey Richard, don't sweat it. Basically, everything's expensive. We get it. Is there anything that's gotten cheaper? Is there anything that's gotten cheaper at all? Are you caught with your back growing up? The hood? I ain't quite sure what that means. But I hope you're okay, my friend. You seem to have grown up to be quite the lad. And you caught it with your back? So you try and tell me you're the type of guy who's got those muscles in the back that can like catch shit? Is that what you're trying to say? You're just so built? Well, I heard the Japanese exchange rate is pretty good right now. But you got to remember, in America, we have those tariffs. So Japan is actually really bad with the tariffs for some reason. I am a Japanese connoisseur. I like to spend some of my extra money on Japanese merchandise for anime and stuff, and I had to stop because the tariffs made like the shipping for like simple things $60 fucking, and I'm like, I'm an idiot if I do this. I did it for like one figurine because of a pre-order, and I felt so guilty. Yeah. Well, you have them with the US. You don't have it with Japan. Living in America, we have tariffs with fucking everybody. It sucks. In Japan, so the way some countries are dealing with it is well, I think it has to do with the corporations, how the corporations deal with it. Some of them aren't matching the price, like they're taking some of the loss and they're still selling at a reasonable price, but fucking Japan is like, nah, we're charging you all that. Missing a limb, man. So you're like a pirate? What is it? You got peg leg or a hook? But yeah, there was like, they were putting like $60 shipping fees on a fucking $50 order, making it almost more than twice as much. It's like, I can't do that. Or like, I'd be an idiot. Because the shipping rate's already like 20 bucks. Just in general, to ship that from that distance, it's like $20, $30. The tariffs just like double it. But yeah, I've noticed not every foreign product feels like it's been boosted that much, but all the Japanese suppliers I use, they're like, it's obviously way more expensive. I hate it. And they straight up tell you on the website, they're like, because of the tariff policy. Yo, I got some panties, but not the kind you're thinking of. Alright, there's a character called Panty from a show. Like, I can't make this shit up. I got one right here. This character's name is Panty. So here's a Panty. That's literally her name. If you look up Panty anime character, this will come up. It's just her name. It's fucking funny. Good night, Sacred. We're winding down around here too. I'm shooting shit. Feel free to lurk more. Huh. But yeah, I got more than one Panty. There's another one. Fuck it, I'll grab it. This one's actually kind of rare. The show's hilarious. The show, if I had to compare it to anything American, it's like if South Park intentionally made an entire season where they were trying to make fun of like children's cartoons, which sounds wild. Like South Park plus Nickelodeon. It's weird. Made by drunk people. Honestly, I think I want to play some clips from it. It's so good. So that's the name of the character. The name of the show is Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt. Oh my god. Yeah, so I'm gonna close out of this for a second. Like, I've had so many funny conversations with people. They'll be like, I like anime. And I'll be like, me too. And I'll mention this one and they'll be like, is this like porn? And I'm like, no. It's comedy, but it's definitely edgy. What do I want to play? A fight scene. Let's pull up a fight scene. Where was I? No, not that one. Yes, I know Meat Canyon. Hell yeah, he's a good animator. No specific schedule. I want to make one. But this is a good time to expect me. I like this hour. I do Eastern Standard Time, and I usually stream anywhere between 7 p.m. and like 3 a.m. Yeah, Meat Canyon's cool. What's his name? Fucking, I think he does Game Grumps now. Aaron. He used to make animations. Metal Gear Awesome. I grew up with that. Do you know what Metal Gear Awesome is? But yeah, this is Panty. She's a fallen angel, and she fights with guns, and yeah. See ya, Sacred. But yeah, you ever heard of Metal Gear Awesome? I grew up with this shit.
I hate this suit.
Hey, what's up, Snake?
Can I take off this suit?
Yeah, whatever, but it's pretty fucking cool.
Hello, Solid Snake.
Oh my god, Hotness, I want to bang you.
Oh, I can't believe I'm being hit on by the famous Solid Snake.
Okay, shut up.
I'm going to get into this hunt.
So yeah, the guy who made these animations, are you familiar with Newgrounds, newgrounds.com, or Albino Black Sheep? Basically, before YouTube, this is where people would post their animations. And this guy got a name for himself. And now he does Game Grumps. It's the same. Ego Raptor is the same guy.
Mind now. Hey, Snake, check it. Go sneak that shit.
Okay.
Whose footprints are these?
What the fuck? I didn't expect that. Fuck.
Snake? Yo, Snake! Snake!
Shut the fuck up.
Sorry, G. I thought Snake was dead.
Didn't even break a sweat. Shit, I killed a dog by sweating.
Yo, I fucking loved this animation, and I didn't even know the story of Snake or Metal Gear Solid, and it's still just fucking funny.
Hello, Snake. It's been a while. Do you remember me?
Liquid?
No, this is McDonald Miller, your old buddy.
Who? Are you from Snake's Revenge?
No, Snake. Don't you remember?
Why is there a helicopter in the background?
It's my stomach. I'm hungry.
Hungry for worms?
No, hungry for words.
Shut up. Shut up, for Christ's sake! I know how to climb a ladder! Jesus, ow, my ear!
Sorry, bruh.
Thanks, Jesus.
Jesus, ow, my ear. Sorry, bruh. Thanks, Jesus.
It's cool.
Whoa, awesome. Here, you taking a dump?
Hell yeah.
So, tell me about Metal Gear. You knew? The game is fucking called Metal Gear Solid. Yeah.
So I know now. I played Metal Gear. There's literally a scene where you break into the fucking bathroom where the guy who has secret information is taking a shit, and you extract it from him while he's pooping.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like it's a real thing in the game.
Yeah, well, they're making a new Metal Gear and stuff. And I talked. I gave him the password. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know when you have diarrhea, but it doesn't hurt when it comes out? It's so satisfying, man.
Gross. Yeah, the DARPA chief died of a heart attack. I don't know what happened. Metal Gear. Whatever. Meryl's hot.
She my niece.
She's still hot, asshole.
Get out, you loser.
Shut up, hotness. The safety's on. You have rookie eyes.
They're transplants.
Shut up, bitch. Stop fucking calling.
Is that your...
It's your uncle.
Oh, he's a fag.
Don't just stand there. Shoot.
You fucking ate my gun.
Oh. We gotta go.
I'll go on ahead. Look at my ass.
Okay. Cool.
I'm going to be a boss.
Am I hallucinating?
You like men.
You could see into my mind?
No.
Fuck.
What am I watching? That's some aged comedy right there.
Best gun ever.
Oh.
Cool, maybe this will come in handy for a stupid plot device in the sequel.
What the hell? We didn't even fight yet. Another heart attack. What the hell is going on?
Yeah, B, that looks like a bullet wound to me.
Now to find.
What the
Wait,
fuck?
what am I looking for? Colonel, how do I contact Meryl? Oh, whoops.
I'm done,
Never mind,
bro.
you're too hot.
This is so
Yeah, I don't know what the
dumb,
fuck to
but
do.
it's so funny.
You have to look at
too.
the back of the CD case for Meryl's codec number.
Oh, well, how the fuck was I supposed to figure that out?
Colonel tells you.
Oh, whoops.
What?
I killed him.
Like, what the fuck, dude? All right, Derek. Most people have moved out who was here.
Metal Gear, awesome too. Ugh.
It's been 3 hours. I think I'm wrapping it up, my friend. It's been a solid stream. I'll put it on YouTube or whatever. Peace out, motherfuckers. Oh, yeah. See you, Richard. I'm leaving too. Where is it? Implying.substack.com. If you're not subscribed yet, that's what I'm going to do on my shit posting. Alright, y'all. Be cool.